My name's Jeb, and it wasn't supposed to turn out like this. This video was over 8 months in the making. I had it all planned out. The music was going to be Beethoven's Ode to Joy, and I was going to be dancing around a trellis full of ripe tomatoes. But the season didn't turn out as perfect as I wanted. We were able to pull many tomatoes out of this crop, but little mistakes all through the season added up to a disappointing harvest in the end. It reminded me that gardening is more than getting things perfect. It's about learning, listening to the plants, doing it better next time. Here's the lessons I learned this year. I got the plants in the ground March 15th, and that's not bad at all for Southern California weather. The issue was the plants stayed indoors a little too long, and that made them get leggy because I didn't have quite the light I needed. Plus, if I prepared the beds sooner, I wouldn't have had to dig holes in the dark with a headlamp. Digging time. The whole point of growing single-stem tomatoes is being able to pack the plants in tighter while keeping them healthy and productive. So you need a vining tomato variety, and then you remove the suckers or side shoots. This salsa queen variety is indeterminate, but it's a bushing indeterminate. Here you can see one of them on the patio. The cherry tomatoes I planted in the trellis are vining tomatoes, but I think the production on them is a little better when you let some of the suckers grow out, like here in the square foot garden. I was pretty happy with how the trellis turned out. I put it together out of 4x4 posts. Got to pretend to be a carpenter, making my half lap joints. The structure ended up being plenty strong. The problem was I decided to pull the wires horizontally, and I should have hung them vertically and used clips like most people do. I ended up having to use these cheesy knots to support the plants. I prepared the beds using vermiculite, peat moss, and some bagged compost manure. But I didn't have access to a lot of good compost, and I ended up using a slow-release chemical fertilizer. I use a commercial tomato fertilizer for my hydroponic projects, and I figured why not just use this on the tomatoes? And it worked great while I was applying it, but once I stopped, the plants declined. I had problems with magnesium deficiency too, because the Epsom salts would get washed out, and I think some horticultural lime would have worked better. I installed a drip irrigation system this year, and it worked great. In fact, without it, I don't think the tomatoes would have even made it through the year. But I should have got a timer that had independent start times. When I went on vacation, I had to set them 12 hours apart to get 2 waterings per day. And I had the water running at night, so the disease first appeared right after vacation. A hot wind blows through the garden in summer, drying out the leaves and exposing the fruit to sunburn. So I think covering the plants could really help. It'd help with pests too. Didn't have a big problem with caterpillars. Saw a lot of birds eating the caterpillars, and I think I might cover up the plants next year. Why don't you tell us all in a comment what the tomatoes have taught you this year? Thanks for watching.